Chatty, get ready with me! Snacking on Cheez-Its extra cheesy. I love like grandma snacks, like Cheez-Its, Fig Newtons, peanut butter cookies, Nutter Butters. This is the first time I'm filming in a month. Now, you know, I did my thing, I did my pre-filming, but if you watch my last few vlogs, you know that I've been traveling in Asia, and I just want to touch base with you guys, talk about my experiences, tell you what I'm up to. I don't know. I'm in a chatty mood, and I came home from traveling, and I opened up my speed reviews drawer. It's kind of overflowing, but I've also not used these products for a whole month. So I pulled a lot of products from my speed reviews drawer, which are like second, third, fourth, fifth plus impressions. Never gave my final review on these, and I'm going to refresh my memory on those today. Okay, no new product except for this. I went to Japan, and a lot of you guys asked me what I bought. I bought a few things kind of blindly without knowing what they were. I was so overstimulated in Japan. We'll talk about it. It's hot. So I picked up a few super viral things that I saw, but like I gotta go back to Japan and really focus and hone in on what I want to purchase. But this was one of my favorite purchases that I've made. I know in Japan you have to try their SPFs. They have the best. This Biore UV Aqua Rich, favorite. I bought 3 of these. I wish I had bought more. And this was like $5 in Japan. And then I went to Singapore and it was $20. And I was like, oh. Suddenly I had FOMO and I was like, I should have bought like 10 more of these. I don't know if they would have fit in my suitcase. But anyways, if you go to Japan, buy a bucket load of this sunscreen and then send it to me when you get back. Send me like 1 or 2. What I like about this is it's almost watery. I mean, it's got some thickness to it, but it blends in, it soaks in like water. No such thing as a white cast with this, and it doesn't feel sticky or heavy on the skin. Unfortunately, Jose also loves this SPF and he's been using it for his whole body. So I'm gonna run out of this fast. I'm pretty upset about it. Oh, so good. For $5. Give that a couple moments to sink in. So that's one of the few products I purchased. Kind of disappointing, I know. I have this in my speed reviews drawer. This is the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer. This is the blurring one. I have a good level of hydration on my skin right now. And then with the Biore, so I'm just going to use this in the T-zone area where I'm a little bit more porous. So yeah, I'm coming off of a trip. We went to Japan and Singapore. I'd never been to Asia before. Jose and I went with my parents, and this was a super big trip because it was my mom's first time back to Singapore in 30 years, and that's where my mom grew up before she moved to the US. So we added in Japan because Singapore was the main plan, but we added Japan since Singapore is so far. Japan gave us a little bit of a break in terms of flying, because it was, I think, 14 and a half hours direct flight to Japan and then another like 7 hours or so to get to Singapore. So we flew to Japan first and we spent 8 or 9 days in Tokyo. I'm saying Japan, but I'm only talking about Tokyo. Japan is so big. We really didn't scratch the surface. I'm gonna use the Ilia Skin Rewind Complexion Stick. So let's talk about Japan. I was really nervous about the language barrier and how that would go because I don't know a lick of Japanese. And I'm also the worst travel planner. If you love to make an itinerary for vacation, you would love to go with me because wherever you tell me to go, I'll show up. Just make sure you add in a couple shopping days, rests, and naps in there, and you can do whatever you want. I might complain about some of this stuff, but for me, I just can't plan a vacation. I have to physically be there in order to find the motivation to find things that I want to do. So Jose, my husband, he's really into anime. He's always been very interested in visiting Japan. So this was kind of his trip of a lifetime. And I love Japanese food. I have always been really intrigued by Japanese culture. So Japan was one of my bucket list places, but I never actually thought that we'd actually go to Japan. So just when we were on the plane, I'm just like, I cannot believe we're going to Japan. And then I grew up talking about Singapore with my family my whole life, since that's where my mom is from. So it just seems so weird that I was actually going to experience those places. So when we first landed in Japan, we went to Disney Sea, and I have a vlog for all of this if you want to take a look. We actually stayed at the Disney resort in Tokyo that's right across from Disney, but we ended up going to Disney Sea instead, which we had to take the Disney train to get over to, because Disney Sea is not owned by actual Disney, but they have a licensing agreement, I believe. I could be wrong, but I heard Disney Sea was a better experience for adults and just a little bit more unique since we do have Disney in the US. I do have a complaint. While I had a great time and it was one of my favorite things that we did in Japan, my complaint about Disney Sea is not enough characters running around. I know, like in Orlando and stuff, when you go, so many Disney characters walking around everywhere. All I saw was Mickey. Like, that was it. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see the princesses. So that's my complaint. We need more. It was less character themed, I feel. Like, the rides were the movie themes and all of that, but there were not enough characters running around for me, which is part of the magic. So that's my one complaint. But other than that, everything was great. I'm not a big ride person. I'm the friend that holds your stuff while you get on the roller coaster. But I did do a few rides. I mean, Disney rides are so fun. The non-crazy ones. If it goes upside down, I'm not going on it. I did do one roller coaster that went upside down once. And I was like, no, never again. It makes me so sick and my body just rejects it. But the first half of Disney was interesting because my husband, I think he had residual motion sickness, so he was sick for the first half of the day. So it's just me and my parents having fun at Disney. And eyebrows, I'm going to use the Flower Nose Midsummer Fairy Tales eyebrow powder. Luckily, by the afternoon, he had felt better. So we only did the one day in Disney, then we stayed the night, and then we headed into Tokyo proper. And we stayed in Shinjuku, I believe. Think so. Spent a few days there. Like, we went to so many hotels. Then we went to Ginza, I believe, was the third hotel in Japan. In terms of shopping, went to Don Quixote, which was so awesome, but I also was so overstimulated and didn't know what to buy that it was just one of those situations where when there's almost too many options, you end up not getting anything because it's overwhelming. So I just picked up in random shops things that I had seen all over TikTok that were very, very viral. But yeah, unfortunately, not a ton of makeup shopping. But we did a lot of like cultural things. We went to gardens. The gardens were really fun, but I was dying of heat. If you are like me and you're very sensitive to heat, you guys, do not go to Japan in the summer. I thought I was going to die. I mean, obviously, what a privileged thing to say, of course, but if it is within your ability, avoid Japan in the summer at all costs if you are sensitive to the heat. That's my biggest piece of advice, because I really felt like it hindered my ability to enjoy Japan to its fullest. I didn't love the trip to Japan solely because the weather made it really, really uncomfortable for me. Obviously, not Japan's fault, my fault for setting up a trip for that, and I had mentally prepared myself for it. But damn, it is hot. Now, the thing with Japan is I feel like they don't really have much coverage from the sun. Everybody walks around with umbrellas, and it's not America, so America, we love AC. The places, the stores, they just didn't have as strong of AC as I needed, and not a lot of places to sit, which was different. And they don't have like trash cans outside because it's rude to like eat or drink. So I felt like I couldn't really, other than my water bottle that I had with me, of course, that I was sipping, like I couldn't just go in and grab a drink and a snack and walk outside or rest, because I felt like Tokyo is, the biggest city in the world. So it was really hard to find a seat in a cafe, but I would still be hot in the cafe. My thing is the heat. I didn't talk about this in the vlog because, I don't know, it was just kind of like, I've been doing my eyebrows for 10 minutes. A downer situation But like, I sound like so privileged and annoying to be talking about how the heat bothered me. But this is from a medical perspective. I have passed out multiple times in my life from being overheated and dehydrated. At this age in my life, I knew to hydrate, but it was just a little bit more difficult in Japan, where hydration wasn't really readily available because we went to two cafes and they didn't have water, or we'd go to a restaurant and they only had warm water. I was struggling, and so it was kind of inevitable. We were sitting in a cafe after having fought for a seat, and I started feeling like I was going to pass out. I know how it feels. I've done it multiple times in my life, unfortunately. And so I had sent Jose to get a water for me, buy a water bottle, and I was like searching the place for a place to pass out because what was available was high chairs, and the floor was dirty. It was kind of connected to the subway, and there was hundreds of people around, and so I started to get freaked out because Jose wasn't there. There really wasn't a spot for me to privately pass out as I needed to do due to my dehydration. That my heart started racing. I started profusely sweating. Suddenly, I was struggling to breathe. My hands were shaking, like I was getting really, really scared. And so I was able to walk over to Jose, who's oblivious to what is happening to me at this point, and he's taking a photo of the matcha that the barista used because they had really good matcha. And then I was like, we gotta go, we gotta go. And he was like, oh my god, you're sweating, like, are you okay? And I was like, no, not okay. So I'm like hanging on to him as we're struggling to find a cab to take us to the hotel. And then as soon as we get into the cab that we finally find, I like calm down a little bit. Like, I'm still shaking, I still don't feel well. Made it to the hotel, and then as soon as I was in the hotel room, I felt good. It was very scary. Jose handled it very well. Jose was able to keep calm, and then I realized I think I had a panic attack. I have never had a panic attack before, but I'm super introverted, and the thought of like passing out in front of hundreds of people in a foreign country, I think it gave me a panic attack. That being the center of attention is like one of my worst fears, and I thought that that was going to happen because there wasn't anywhere for me to privately pass out, and I gave myself a panic attack. That was interesting. I'm using the Esom V29. So Esom, you guys, they redid their line and a lot of brushes, and these are so soft. I loved the Esom brushes before, but they have taken them to the next level. So soft. They feel even sturdier than they did before. I literally used Esom brushes in my makeup kit when I was a makeup artist. I've collaborated with them on a bundle before. I stand by, put my name on their brushes, and they've made them even better. So I'm so excited about these new brushes. Okay, this is probably all dried up. But anyways, that was like the worst thing that happened in Japan. The rest of Japan was fine. It was really great to see different culture. I love looking at what the women were wearing because it's just so different from what you see in the US. You know, they are quite modest. I feel like they wear a lot of fabric in Japan to cover up from the sun. I personally would be sweating buckets. Lots of the women were focusing on sun protection, wearing like sun protection sleeves, just stuff you don't really see in the US. I thought it was so neat. The gardens were gorgeous. Shibuya crossing, one of my favorite things that we did on the trip. Like, we went on a Friday night in the thick of it when all the lights were on, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and like it was so much energy in the air just crossing it. Because I saw some videos where some people said, Shibuya crossing is kind of underwhelming. I did not feel that way. You gotta go in the thick of it at night. That was so, so fun. We also went to a cat cafe. That was another one of my favorite things that we did. And that was like one of my very few requests of what I wanted to do. So we did that. I haven't talked about this on my channel yet, but these are the nude stick stacks. I did do a sponsorship with them on this, but these are super duper good. I'm excited to continue using them. I'm going to use the blush balm in the shade Sunstone for my bronzer. And I'm using the Esam V48 brush. So anyways, Japan was really, really cool. Oh, you know what else we did that I saw a lot of online that you might be curious about? We also went to the Uniqlo flagship store. I was very underwhelmed by it because yes, when you enter, they do have that really cool t-shirt thing with them swinging, but the building itself is actually quite small, and I think the store is like 12 floors. The reason that it's 12 floors is because the floor is small, so half the time you're spending going up the escalators. And of course, there's hundreds and hundreds of people sharing the space with you, and I just felt like the floors weren't curated well enough. It was like kind of the same thing, repetitive on each floor. So I just find it a more peaceful experience to go to a different Uniqlo, one with more of like a flat floor plan. I'm glad I did it, but I felt like not a lot of people mentioned that, so I wanted to mention that. But I love Uniqlo, and generally speaking, now is a great time to travel to Japan because of the exchange rate. Compared to what we're used to here in America, it felt very affordable. I could not believe the price of food, okay? You know how the prices of food are in America. Insane. For 3 of us, me, my mom, and Jose, we went off. We went crazy at a conveyor belt sushi place, Sushi Row. It's a chain, but we went there, and I mean, you could get salmon nigiris for $1. So we ate so much, we were stuffed, we were ordering without abandon. Like, we were just pressing on that iPad, order this, order that. Between the 3 of us, 32 USD. Heaven right there. And the sushi, the salmon, like the fresh fish, some of the best I've ever tried. Like the most buttery salmon I've ever tried. Okay, that was really pretty. Let me set the under eyes. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty Tinted Pressed Finishing Powder. I had some people online yelling at me like, this is a finishing powder, not a setting powder. Well, it works good as a setting powder, so even better. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else significant about Japan. I truly feel like we did not scratch the surface, so I don't want to generalize too much. The heat was too much for me if I ever go to Japan. I just gotta accommodate my medical needs, literal medical needs, you guys. And I would go in the springtime probably. Cherry blossom season, that would be awesome. And then we also want to experience like Osaka and stuff. Looking up close, my makeup is looking a little dry and patchy. Probably because I haven't even been paying attention to the makeup. My mirror is so far away from me right now. Cheese It break. That's on me though. I'm more interested in chatting to you guys than I am applying the makeup. Good to know though, the makeup not working itself out. I think that's the foundation. It didn't blend out the best. Do some eyes. I haven't used these in a bit. They launched a while ago from Kaleidos. We have the Twilight Rush and the Venus Trap, which is pretty cool toned. I think I'm going to use a combo of these two. I want to go a little bit more glam because I haven't done makeup in a long time. In a month. I haven't gone glam in a whole month, actually. So we are going to make up for lost time. Just use some of the Milani eyeshadow primer. So we spent our 9 or 10 days in Japan, and then we headed on over to Singapore next. Now this was the super important part of the trip for me, like I said. My mom's first time going in 30 years, my first time ever going. Really something truly so special about seeing where my mom grew up. Though Singapore is like rapidly developing and changing. So there, my mom said it felt almost like a whole new city. And let me tell you, a lot more expensive than Japan. I was like, whiplash. My wallet liked Japan a lot more. Now, Singapore was the more relaxed leg of the trip, which at that point is what I needed, because in Japan we did so much touristy kind of stuff. It was so much walking, the sun beating down on us. I was exhausted. So Singapore was a little bit more chill. So I made the point to watch Crazy Rich Asians for the 10th time in my life on the plane ride. That really was a euphoric experience, let me tell you. Watch Crazy Rich Asians on the way to Singapore. I could cry thinking about it. That wasn't actually tears. I have a cold. The cold is part of the story. So when we headed over to Singapore, we stayed at the Marina Bay Sands the first couple of nights. It's a super expensive hotel, but we felt like we've been calling this, the trip of a lifetime using eSIM G26. I'm gonna switch over. So we decided to go big and just spend a couple of nights at the iconic hotel, because if you see anything about Singapore, what you're going to see is Marina Bay Sands. It's the three towers with what I say is a surfboard on top, and then the surfboard part is a what kind of pool is it? An infinity pool. And in order to get to experience the infinity pool, you have to stay at the hotel, because you can go up to the tower and see the views. They have like a sky tower. Only hotel guests can go to the pool. So we did that. I freaking love that hotel. What is it, like $1,000 a night? Maybe like 600. Anyways, crazy price. So I used the amenities. Their gym was amazing. Went to the pool multiple times. I went to Pilates in the morning on the sky tower. Again, another forever memorable moment is doing Pilates on that sky tower. It was just my style of vacation. I am not a traveler, I am a vacationer. So Singapore was the vacation part for me. Using a S31. This is a classic brush from eSIM. I think they refined it a little bit more. It seems a little bit smaller, unless I'm mixing it up with a different product. What else did we do? So the hotel, very Vegas-like, because you know how in Vegas the hotels all are connected to like malls and stuff, and then you can hop from place to place via the malls. Marina Bay Sands is very much like that, and it's just very Vegas feeling with the general size of the hotel and how people are coming in and out. Always thousands of people moving throughout the hotel. Huge system, similar to Vegas. So we spent the first few days on that side of town. And meanwhile, while this is happening, I didn't vlog any of this because these people didn't sign up to be on my channel, but my mom is reconnecting with her friends for the first time in 30 years, and she actually had quite a lot of friends still living in Singapore, so she was out doing girl nights. We went out to dinner with her friend. Her friends were taking us to hawker centers and really local stuff and local eats. So neat. And then of course by Marina Bay Sands, there's the Gardens by the Bay, which is that really cool Avatar looking place. If you love modern architecture, that kind of situation, you've got to head over to Singapore. The architecture there, so neat. Jose really loves architecture, and he was loving what what Singapore was giving. I mean, the photos, Gardens by the Bay. This is Avatar. I thought that was crazy. The Apple store was so cool. The Louis Vuitton is floating on water. The views on point. So then after Marina Bay Sands, we moved to a more affordable hotel. They have service apartments, which is more long-term stay apartments, and that's where we moved to, and it was close to their train station. They call it the MRT. If you travel to Singapore, the MRT is going to be your best friend. It's their public transportation. It's so clean. It's quite easy to navigate. What is not easy to navigate about Singapore, though, is their signs. We got lost so many times throughout this trip because their signs just didn't lead to where intuitively they should lead. It wasn't just me, it was every member of my family. And then also, what is nice about Singapore is that you have the option, I feel like they have a whole underground city. So where the MRT is, you don't have to go into the MRT where the trains are. Between all the exits and stuff, you can move from building to building in Singapore underground. It is a bit confusing though. Even the locals were saying underneath can be a bit confusing. So sometimes you have to exit and go outside so you can orient yourself to where you are. But if you are familiar with the area, it's really neat that you have the option so that you don't have to go out into bad weather. You don't have to go out and get hot. There's AC, hallways underneath the ground to get you from building to building, which I thought was really neat. And that's what I mean when I'm saying, I felt like Japan didn't accommodate to the heat, which they don't have to. I mean, it's not hot there all year round. Singapore has to because it's hot in Singapore all year round. So in Singapore, it was just so much more comfortable for me because a lot of the sidewalks outside were either shaded with literal man-made roofs or covers or trees, and if not, you could always go under and go through building to building that way. And the AC, generally speaking, in Singapore was higher. Call me crazy, but I think I got Singapore in my blood. I like what they did there. They knew it. Like, they accommodated for me. Okay, I'm gonna go for this. But Singapore, of course, is a lot smaller than Japan. Like, once you've done everything. You could probably cover all of the main things of Singapore in like a week. And we still didn't get to do everything we wanted to do in Singapore because, unfortunately, with all of the travel, Jose ended up catching a cold. And so he was out. And since I was just tired in general from traveling, because I'm a vacationer, not a traveler, I took that opportunity, honestly, to just shop. Because I felt like I couldn't shop in Japan much with all that we had on our schedule. So that's what I did the last couple of days we were in Singapore. But we did do Marina Bay Sands was my favorite part. Just that whole experience. But the shopping in Singapore, if you like shopping, go to Singapore. I'm not even kidding. There's this road called Orchard Road. My mom apparently grew up right there. She worked there. She was showing me some of the malls that she used to work at, her childhood experiences on this literal street. But on this street, you guys, 10 malls. And I'm not talking like little rinky-dinky malls. I'm talking Louis Vuitton, Cartier, Hermes in every single one of the malls. Like, if one item is out of stock, walk next door. The next Louis Vuitton is gonna have it. But they also had a lot of normal malls. They had Takashimaya, which is a Japanese mall in Singapore on that street. And every single mall, you will not go hungry in Singapore. Singaporeans love to shop and they love to eat. And it was so fun to eat Singaporean dishes. I'm a little bit biased with my experience of Singapore versus Japan because, you know, I had this certain image of Singapore in my head growing up because it was the one I was more excited for since obviously it is my culture. And I mean, my mom is very Americanized, but I had a bias there. I romanticized everything about Singapore on this trip, and I just felt like I was not let down. The food's amazing, the shopping's amazing, and those are my two favorite things about traveling, food and shopping, and that is what Singapore excels in the most. We also went into Chinatown. That was really cool. We went there with a few of my mom's friends who have lived there for forever. So it's just like you feel so special. You feel like you know the places to go to because the locals are taking you. And one of the things that I thought was so cool is I have always wanted to eat at Din Tai Fung. I know you guys see all of the TikToks about it, but there isn't a Din Tai Fung on the East Coast, at least near where I live. I'm actually traveling to California next month, and I was really excited because I was thinking, ooh, I'm gonna make a point to go to Din Tai Fung. And then in Singapore, they were like in every single mall. Din Tai Fung is like Applebee's there. I swear, they are everywhere. So we went to Din Tai Fung and it was not special to anybody there. You know, never really super crowded. You don't have to wait. Versus in America, I'm sure it's like that. Just because they're a dime a dozen in Singapore. But oh, amazing dumplings. So I do kind of want to go to the one still in California to see which one is better. But yeah, if you want to go to Din Tai Fung, Singapore's also not short of them. I don't know how people do their makeup while talking about something that's unrelated to makeup and do these try to get readies with me. Because I really feel like I've been doing my makeup with my eyes closed. And I just turned off the camera and then I like looked at my makeup real close and I was like, who did this? Was I even looking in the mirror? We're gonna keep moving with it, but oh my goodness. I'm only good about talking about makeup. Apparently, I can't do my makeup, do something else. Anyways, so if my makeup looks off, it is off. When is this? Sorry, it's so rude of me, eating and talking. Flower nose blush. They sold this at Don Quixote in Japan, but I was too overstimulated to look too hard. I did do a full review of this Midsummer Fairy Tales collection oh, this is fun. Suddenly the glitter isn't bothering me as much anymore. Anyways, finishing up the Singapore trip, Jose got sick towards the last few days, so he was down. And so finally our last hotel, we stayed one night at the Crown Plaza, which is a hotel attached to the Singapore airport. And one of the tourist attractions of Singapore is their airport. They have like one of the biggest indoor waterfalls or something like that, fountain. It's called the Jewel. And then they also have another giant mall literally in the airport with like good stores in the airport. You should check out my vlog. So we wanted to stay one night in the hotel in the airport because our flight was early in the morning to head home, and we just wanted to spend time in the airport to really check it out. It's an airport you want to have a layover at, a really long layover. It's that good. And then we got sushi one final time as the last hurrah. And the first flight was from Singapore to San Francisco. Girl, it was a 15-hour flight. I've never been on an airplane for that long, and I felt every second of it because one of the signs that I have when I'm getting sick is my throat feels really dry and I cannot drink enough water. It doesn't quench me. And I was like, oh no, my lymph nodes felt sore. So I wasn't sure that I was getting sick, but I did. I was, if you can't hear it in my nose. So anyways, I felt every single second of that 15-hour flight. And we actually had a really close connection because we were landing in San Francisco. And I think it was like an hour and a half we had in between. But the thing is, since we were arriving internationally, we had to go through customs. We would have to pick up our bag, recheck it back in, and then go through security again. So there was a good chance that we were going to miss the connection. But at that point, after being on the airplane for 15 hours, sick and limited in the amount of water I could get because I couldn't bring my own water, I was like, I kind of want to miss this connection because I need to be on the ground. I needed to feel some stable ground after being in the air for 15 hours. But I told Jose, I'm not running. We're going to get there when we get there. And if we make it, great. And if not, even better. Of course, we made the connection, which was really good because that just means that we got to be home sooner. And so we had another 5-hour flight from San Francisco to DC. And again, felt every second of that 5-hour flight. But finally, we had made it home. We were exhausted. I didn't do a thing. We got home at like 9 p.m., or maybe a little bit earlier, but I literally got home, brushed my teeth, took a shower, threw on my pajamas, and went to sleep. But unfortunately, even though I was so dead tired because I did not sleep on the planes, I can't sleep on planes, and I slept 3 hours before because I was anxious about the flight for the night before, meaning for the last 2 evenings, I had gotten 3 hours of sleep. So even though I was so dead tired, because my sickness had just started, I was waking up every single hour. Thank goodness though, I got sick when I did because the following days of being home, that's why I haven't filmed in a month. The plan was to come home from the vacation and film and catch up, but nope, lost my voice, was sick, had a pretty bad cold, so I was down for almost another week. Probably like 5 days. And if you thought the craziness was over, think again. This one we knew was coming, but my in-laws, Jose's parents, actually came to visit us 4 days after we had come home from this 3-week trip. So the plan was, like, we were a little bit stressed because we knew we would have to get the house ready. I would need to pre-film because, of course, we're going to go and do activities. And it was just going to be another mad dash, just like it was before traveling. But unfortunately, I got sick, and I couldn't do anything in preparation for them coming. And they're here right now. I hear them talking downstairs, and it is so lovely to see them. But I was pretty stressed and sad and upset that, you know, as soon as we land, I am sick. And I just don't have time to get my life together yet. So today's the first day that I feel and sound well enough to be able to film, and it feels like home. I feel so relaxed, but whew, guys, I got a lot to catch up with work-wise, but still got a lot to do. Gotta have a lot of family time. Very important. It's been a couple years since Jose's parents are here. This is the first time that they are seeing our new house. So we were really excited about that. If you don't know, we bought a house, our first house 6 months ago. We moved in end of February, so they haven't been here to see our house yet. I love how it just stopped telling me the products I'm using. They'll all be linked down below, don't worry. So we're really excited that they've been able to see our house and stay at our house, because when we lived in Miami, we had a 2-bedroom apartment, but my office took up one of the bedrooms, so they had to get a separate Airbnb. So it's really nice that they are able to stay with us now. I think they can probably visit more because it's going to be a lot more affordable for them. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, I mean, those are my musings, just chit-chatting about what happened when we were on vacation, my final thoughts on both of the places, the stuff that I want to talk about involving my life, if you even care. So I'm not yet quite back in the swing of things. There's still a lot of things that I gotta do to feel that way, but we are getting there. And then Jose's parents are staying for a week, so give me another week and then I'll be back full swing. Because if you don't know, my editor is my husband, and obviously I want him to prioritize spending time with his parents. My parents actually stayed behind in Singapore. They stayed an extra week. They're actually coming home tomorrow. I kind of miss them. I went from seeing them every waking moment, every single day when we were traveling, to not even talking to them, because in Singapore it's a 12-hour time difference and my parents got things to do. Better than talking to me, apparently. So I was telling Jose yesterday, I was like, I kind of miss my parents. We went from talking to them so much to literally not at all. I texted my mom and I was like, are you alive? Emily in Paris is coming out. I'm excited about that, even though it's a terrible show. I want to watch it. I'm excited about the Love Island USA reunion. Like, they just filmed it. The day that I'm filming this, they just filmed it yesterday. I'm watching all of the TikTok gossip about it. Jose and I still have to watch the last episode of Game of Thrones. Not Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. We haven't watched the season finale. Honestly, this season was kind of underwhelming. We've just been kind of like slowly getting through it, but can never touch Game of Thrones. Just hasn't been as interesting. One thing I'm sad about the time frame that we went on vacation was it was smack dab like throughout the entire Olympics, and I'm a big Olympic watcher. Sounds surprising to you, but I did used to literally teach physical education. Huge Olympics fan, and with the 12-hour time difference and just in general being out and traveling, I really couldn't watch much. So I'm very upset that I missed the Olympics, because it only happens every 4 years. Okay, chattiness over. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and just hanging out and chatting with me as I did a subpar makeup look, but I'm about to film a shopper drop after this because I have not been paying attention to the makeup market, and I want to do this like on camera with you guys, seeing what launched while I was gone. I saw Patrick Ta had a new foundation coming out and I was like, oh, I can't wait for it. Okay, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already and have not yet already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.